Namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang this evening. Sadhguru Shri Muji Ji ki Jai. So quickly we will do some exploration of Ashtavakra Gita before we try to translate what the kids are saying. Let's say hi to everyone. Maybe there's a lot of kids in the Satsang. See on the screen? There's the birthday boy. Shivam and his family. Divya, Dilip, and the second Aradhana and Sangha. Rama, Madhu, this teenage son of mine, Gopala. Gopala and Maxi. Happy. So chapter 15 is called Knowledge of the Self. Ashtavakra is talking now. He says, a man of open intuition may realize the self upon hearing a casual instruction, while a man of cluttered intellect inquires bewildered for a lifetime. Okay, so man is not gender here. It's a generic term. A man of open intuition may realize the self upon hearing a casual instruction, while a man of cluttered intellect inquires bewildered for a lifetime. This is exactly what we were discussing yesterday also. And it's apt that so many children are in Satsang today, because I was saying only the children, Jesus had said, only the children will enter the kingdom of heaven. What is the meaning of that? Now what happens in Satsang many times is there are two tracks playing. One is the track which is sharing Satsang, the second is the track of the mind. And you can watch that even now. Be saying, yes, no, why this, I'm not hearing, what is he saying? You see, this constant track is going on. Okay? Now, what does the second track rely on? It relies on everything that we've known previously mentally. You see, all the knowledge that we have collected, including spiritual knowledge, it uses to actually get in the way of this meeting. You see? Because here we are meeting this oneness. But the mind track will come and say, no, but this, maybe, whatever it might be saying. It's just using some knowledge that it has picked up. So this is what the sage is trying to say. Cluttered intellect. If you already know too much intellectually, then these words might not make sense. You see, what happens is many times when we start satsang, we feel like I will get some useful concepts here, which I can add to my bag of concepts that I already know. And then when it is seen that actually what is happening is these concepts don't leave room for any prior concepts. It's actually what the Sadguru is working on using this instrument of this body is to clean up, full clean up job. all our treasured articles have been thrown away. Even our favorite antiques, which we feel like are our most treasured possessions, are being wiped clean. So this is the openness which the sage is talking about. So if you're open, even a simple thing, you might hear, Father said, everything is his problem from now. Yeah? Even this much might be enough for you to not have to bother with anything else. But if there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of things that you know, which you think is helping you become the perfect seeker or perfect enlightened person, then that will only become confusing. Why? Because the words of satsang can also sound like they are full of contradiction. The ultimate truth cannot be spoken. Therefore, what is being spoken also in satsang is not the truth. What we are saying is not true, but it is pointing to the truth. Whereas, what is the difference in satsang and the rest of the world then? Mostly what is happening in the rest of the world is what we are pointing to is to our individual egoic identity. Where at least the concepts which are used here are pointing to that which is your limitless self. So if there is still a judge sitting in your head saying, or a lawyer sitting in your head saying, objection, objection, just observe that voice. Don't have to force anything to move away. Don't have to get rid of your mind. Just notice that it is there. And it is trying to compete with this voice, which is the voice of your own heart, voice of your own presence. And it is trying to tell you, no, you don't need this one. I am enough for you as a guru, a mental voice. You don't need the divine presence, which is your own heart. This mind voice is enough. It also is telling you what you want. You see? It also says, but I am fine, I don't want this. You see? Who is that voice representing? If you don't want anything, why do you need a voice to remind you? This mind's voice is the trickster which is trying to make a limited identity out of you. It is trying to tell you that you are constricted by this body, and you are represented by this mind. A man of open intuition may realize the self upon hearing a casual instruction, while a man of cluttered intellect inquires bewildered for a lifetime. That's why Adi Shankaracharya, at one time, he met this great Sanskrit scholar. Probably he knew all the Sanskrit, the nuances of the language and the literal translation of every word and what all it could represent. So it is for him in that encounter that he composed this beautiful song, you can say, poem, you can say, set of verses called Bhaja Govindam. So he told him his instruction to this grammarian, Sanskrit grammarian, was chant the name of Govinda, chant the name of Krishna. You fool. Literally, he said, Mudmate, you fool. Chant the name of Krishna because all this grammar, all this mental knowledge is not going to get you anywhere. Empty out your intellect from all of this. Come to the innocence of a child and see how simple what is being pointed to is. Why is it simple? Because it is here now. Not one step you have to take. Only this little bit of insight on what already is here. This checking is the inquiry. What is here or who am I? I know Dilip and I were speaking last time and he said, it's a bit complicated, this inquiry, this booklet. And I promised him we'll look together at this inquiry. So basically what is happening is that if you remove all the complications and all the instructions, what is being checked is, what is it that is here? And you might say, there is the appearance of a body here. There is the appearance of this room here. There are these thoughts which come, emotions come. So Bhagavan has suggested, can we find out who is the witness of these? And is that also coming and going? Is it? Whatever might be moving in front of us, what witnesses that? You might very intimately experience this body. Is it? To find out who witnesses the sensations of the body, the arm, the leg, the torso, the head. Is it? That which witnesses it, is that also contained within this set of body sensations? Is it? So if you don't let a mental answer come in the way and you stay with your insight, even if that insight feels like it is nothing, even if the insight feels like it is nothing, you see, stay with that nothing. Even if the mind is getting frustrated that I'm not coming to an answer, you see, actually this not coming to a mental answer is very useful because we allow ourselves to remain with our true insight without making a conclusion about it. We're not struggling to make conclusions, and this is the opposite of how we learned how to study in the past. Quickly we must come to a conclusion, and if you come to the right conclusion, then you get full marks. Here it is the other way. It is emptying out every conclusion that I have carried about myself and coming to this pristine seeing. Who is that which witnesses all that moves? All that moves. Kids were around the similar age when we first came to Satsang. Aversion to the world's offerings is liberation. Attraction to the world's offerings is the suffering of bondage. This is the truth. Now do as you please. Well, I wouldn't have used the word aversion there. I would have said something like detachment or allowing, non-resistance to the world's offerings is liberation. Attraction to the world's offerings is the suffering of bondage. This is the truth. Now do as you please. What does this mean? The world offering means what? The world is appearing. The mind is saying, I must have this or I must not have this. When something appears, it just appears. You see something of great beauty and you say, this I want to own. You see something which seems horrible and this I want to run from. You see? Without the interpretation from the mind, the appearance of the world is just the appearance of the world. When it becomes the sense that I must have this, who is the I in that? When we buy the idea that I must have something, that this offering is meaningful for me, or this desire I must fulfill, who is the I in that? Is the I what your insight is? No. The I is that which you're believing about yourself. The I in that case is the idea of the body-mind. I must be contained in this body-mind, and therefore something outside this body, something that I must want. And once you start to see, using the inquiry, as you surrender more and more, as you start to see, actually there is nothing out of you. This body might be a very beautiful, very intimate, very sweet instrument, but it is not your container. You contain it. Now we have been taught right from childhood and maybe many lifetimes that actually it is the body container that contains me. Actually, this is just a condition. It's a teaching that I am restricted only to this part of the appearance, and the rest of the appearance is not me. Is something that we have been taught. I take this example, and often I say like this: that if you give a baby a new this toy which you hang on the pram and it rotates, we got like that for our kids, and we want them to play with that because we spend money on that, so we feel like wish they would use that, and then you keep saying, look there, look there, look there, And many times it happened with our kids. At least that they would like look over there and then start playing with their hand and see. Hand is also moving, that is also moving. They found the hand more attractive somehow. So for them, they don't have this distinction that I must play with something which is this or this. For them, it's both is an appearance. You see? Till we teach them my hand, your hand, move. You see? So this appearance of this body, this instrument, it can feel like this is my container. I'm contained. My boundary is defined by this. And yet you find in your experience that you feel that you are not contained in this. You say, many say like this, I will rest only after I am dead. You see, which means what? I will get some true rest after the body is gone. Rest in peace. Body is gone, but then I will find some rest. My body is very tired today. So there's a sense that there is an owner of this body, which we consider ourselves to be. But this one we cannot find. Other ways to look at this are, suppose you try and find the one who is concerned about, okay, Mr. Banker is here, so concerned about money in the bank. Is it? Because who is the one that is concerned about how much money is in the bank account? Does the body care about that? Is it? No, there is an I who does. There's an I who does. Who is the one who's concerned about state of our relationships? The body is fine. There is a seeming I who does. What is this I? And if you had no idea about yourself, if you did not hold a concept about who you are, I used to take this example very often. I used to say, and I asked Manju also the other day, where I used to say that if I told you you're terrible ice skater, you're just terrible ice skater, that hurt you? No, just terrible, terrible at it. Ice skating, just leave it. It's not for you. But for those of you who are attached to work, if I say you're terrible at your job, or somebody at work comes and tells you that, especially the boss, like, oh, how could you say that? I work day and night. Immediately, something gets attacked. In terms of energetic content, the number of words spoken could be same. The energy with which they are spoken also could be the same. I could be very vehemently telling you that you're terrible at ice skating, but it doesn't seem to hurt. So it must be whether you're a terrible husband, right? Terrible father, terrible mother, like that. Those things. Why? Because there is a concept that has been picked up that there is an I here who must be a good father, a good mother, a good husband. So where is this one? Where is this one that owns the body, that owns our relationship, that owns our money, and now has transformed into the spiritual seeker who owns the quest for freedom also? Where is that one? So when Bhagwan asks, who am I? He's asking, so who are you representing? Are you representing this one? Or are you representing that which is your own insight, your own discovery about what you are? Now you'll find that there seems to be only one problem with this. There seems to be only one problem, which is that your mind doesn't agree with this. Your mind is still saying, but what is he saying? What is all of this about? I have been working hard, trying to make something of my life, trying to make money, trying to take care of my family. How can he say that this I, which has been doing all of this, doesn't exist at all. It will come with this trump card of a resistance. And that is why Bhagavan asks, so just ask, who is this I? Who am I? Is there such an entity in existence? Now for this kind of thing is very, very scary, very almost destructive sounding to the mind. Because it's trying to eradicate all the seeming work that it has done over I don't know how many centuries and how many lifetimes, trying to create this identity, trying to make something out of your divine presence, I am. As I was saying the other day, that this is the misunderstanding. We have misunderstood this existence and believed somewhere that this existence is something individual, something personal. This is mine as an individual entity. I exist here as if I am the person. But you start exploring this existence and you find that this existence contains all there is. Your mind will not agree with this, but you're seeing your direct insight will. And I'm not saying that you must go with what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you must go with what you are seeing. What is it that you see about yourself? Go with that. The knowledge of truth turns an eloquent, wise, and active man mute, empty, and inert. The knowledge of truth turns an eloquent, wise, and active man mute, empty, and inert. Lovers of the world, therefore shun it. It's very often reported like this. I'll take some examples of that. Now notice that I'm just taking these examples as illustrations, and you must not use these examples as any sort of benchmark for yourself. Okay? So, what did we hear about Bhagwan? What happened with him? Bhagwan one day as a teenage boy felt like he's dying. He was in his home. He felt like he's dying. But something came within him where he said, if I'm dying now, I want to be there to see it. So instead of panicking with death, he just lied down and said, okay, let death come. And he wanted to witness how it is. Now in that, what happened is that he saw the truth about himself, which is the undying awareness, the undying self. Then he moved to Tiruvannamalai, and for many years he did not speak. He just sat quietly, sometimes being fed by the villagers around him. Then, even with Yogi Ram Surat Kumar, he came to the recognition of himself with the grace of his master. And for many years, he did not find the words to communicate this. So then people used to, he was very learned, like a professor. And people used to think that he's some crazy beggar. So what would happen then is in Tiruvannamalai, people have thrown stones at him and pushed him in ditches. These kind of things have happened. Then Guruji himself, when he came to the discovery of this, then for months he spent just sitting. He shares this story. So people would come to him saying, what are you doing? I'm just sitting. Are you meditating? I'm just sitting. Are you bored? I'm just sitting. So for 6 months in his sister's house. He was just almost inert. So what happened is that after I met Guruji first time, I came back home and for many months, see, I'd gone there just after I'd done a big technology conference and everything like that. I went to Tiruvannamalai and spent some time with Guruji. I came back and it seemed like all this interest had gone, everything, all this fire to work, ambition to do something, it seemed to go away. But I was very happy. But that happiness was not yet visible outside. So then, as is common, then Jarima and the rest of the family kept wondering, "Are you depressed? What has happened to you?" So because this movement can be there, and then after some time, of course, the energy came, and work still continues to some extent even today. But there was this period of a few months where it just fell away. It didn't feel like moving. Something was marinating in itself. So that's why the sage is saying that this knowledge of truth turns an eloquent, wise, and active man mute, empty, and inert. It can seem like from the outside. Lovers of the world, therefore shun it. Because if you see me like that, after meeting Guru, you wonder what happened, and I'm not explaining anything properly. I'm just somebody saying, "Are you depressed?" I'm saying, "No, actually, I feel very happy." I don't want this, whatever he's on. I don't want this stuff. Because it can feel a bit fearful. What's going on? So therefore, it can seem like those who are very attached to the world can seem to shun this. Or at least it can bring a lot of fear for them that this should not happen. That's why Guruji also reminded us that nobody who has come to the discovery of the self has regretted it. Nobody has said, okay, take back this recognition of this undying self. Let me not be the unlimited being. Let me go back to my limitations and my guilt and my pride. Nobody has said. It is beyond any experience that you can taste. You are discovering that about yourself, which is not coming and going. That which will make suffering a great difficulty for you. You have to work really hard if you want to suffer. Even phenomenally, actually, you can tell. If you've seen some of the group photos of sanghas, group photos of sanghas, you can see that there is so much joy, so much happiness there. And we've seen group photos of the richest people in the world. Is that joy and happiness visible there? The the light of self-discovery even ends up showing itself in the phenomenal play. That's why so many started to gather around Bhagwan even when he was not speaking. There's another great Indian sage called Meher Baba. So he was in Pune and he met another saint called Baba Jan, who never used to speak or anything. People, half of Pune still uh, would have considered her a crazy woman, something like that. So she just touched him like that, and he just discovered what he was. Then, for many, many years, he stayed in silence. In a small box or something he built for himself. He just stayed in silence after meeting Babajan. So, Meher Baba also. This beautiful silence, this beautiful period of resting As Guruji would say, the switch over from running around like a frightened ghost to coming to this rest is very beautiful. And then, if the energy has to come back, and very often it does. That is why the Zen masters were able to say that before enlightenment, chopping wood, fetching water; after enlightenment, chopping wood, fetching water. Because this movement can then come backwards. Let's just look at a few more verses before we get into the questions. You are not the body. You do not have a body. You neither do nor enjoy. You are awareness alone, the timeless witness. You are free. Go in happiness. So we looked at this, isn't it? That for most of us, actually, we feel like I'm not the body, but it feels like I'm the owner of the body. So neither of these are true. You are the light in which all of this is appearing. You are the screen on which all of this is appearing. You are not contained or limited just to this body in some way, although it might continue to feel like a very intimate instrument, a beautiful instrument at that. You neither do nor enjoy, which means the same thing that in Sanskrit it is said, Tvam karta, tvam bhokta, which means you consciousness or you guru are the one doer and one experiencer. Very happy that in the Ashtavakra Gita both aspects of this is considered. So I want to say that you are neither the doer nor are you the non-doer. You cannot take a position. The position is not you. So if you take the position, oh, I'm not the doer, so I'm not going to go to work today, that is also not valid. You see, it is empty of these positions and allowing the movements of this body to happen on their own. So both doer and non-doer, you are not. You as an individual entity, that which you consider yourself to be, is neither of these. Then you find that doer you are not, but also then experiencer you cannot be. Is it? Very common, isn't it, in India? Please, God, I pray to you, but just make sure that it goes like this. Somebody in Satsang also just the other day said like that Father, I surrender this to you. All of this I surrender to you. Just make sure it goes well. So like, where's the surrender? So we can still hold on to the idea of the individual experiencer. So the Guruji, why are you doing this to me? The fact is, if Guruji is doing it, then Guruji is only experiencing it. There are no two there. Surrender means all is yours, even the experience of what is to come. It cannot be this just this half surrender. You see, this is how the path of prayer, the path of devotion can move. Starting with this prayer, please God, take care of me, make everything go well for me, make sure I have a good day. Then it moves to, dear God, whatever is your will you bring to my day, I will experience it. You are doing everything here. Then it might move to saying, dear God, who am I to make this prayer? You are the doer and you are experiencing it. All of this is your play. Then it comes to seeing that there is no separation, there is no God and me. All there is one. Your awareness alone, the timeless witness, you are free. Go in happiness. Attachment and aversion are attributes of the mind. You are not the mind. You are consciousness itself, changeless, undivided, free. Go in happiness. So this aspect we have looked at many times now, attachment and aversion. Realize self in all and all in self. Be free of personal identity and the sense of mine. Be happy. And this realization must come in your own recognition. It must not just be a conceptual thing, because when it becomes just a conceptual thing, that leads to another flavor of ego. That ego which is working hard to be one with everybody. Is he working hard to love everyone, working hard to be one with everyone? And then when conflict comes or somebody ends up saying something harsh, then this ego can feel very attacked. The ego that is trying to be one, is best dropped. Don't try to be one. Just recognize what you are. In that, the oneness will be seen on its own. So realize self in all and all in self. So this realization comes with your recognition, not as trying to force yourself to feel as one or be as one. Be free of personal identity and the sense of mine. Well, you are free. You are free right now. Before the mind's conclusion is coming, but no, no, no. Before that, you are free. During that, you are free. Also, after that, you are free. It's only the pose that you can pick up. That's why I've started calling it a mask. You can pick up the mask of the bound one. See, so therefore, that is effort. To be free is effortless. Truth is effortless. It is the lie to which we have to make effort. And you notice that in real life also. In this uh, day-to-day life also, I should say. To lie, it's a big struggle, isn't it? Say one lie, then you have to remember what you lied about. Because next time you have to lie many times. 100 lies to cover up one lie. So this basic lie of our ego, is it? We've been reinforcing this with all these other lies. That I will come to my peace and happiness if I have this. I will come to my peace and happiness if I have this. And you're starting to realize that all of these have been lies. And what is the good news? The good news is that actually none of this you had to do. You were completely complete and full. The source of happiness itself is what you have always been. You don't need to go helter-skelter, running about here and there, trying to find it. All that you needed to look was inside your own box, where on top of which you were sitting with a begging bowl. Give me some happiness, give me some happiness. Till you actually got up and saw what's there in the box. You find that the source of all happiness has already been here, has always been here. At least this much is very simple to check, that the happiness never comes from outside you. Even if you feel like it's coming as a result of some desire being fulfilled, you see that it can only come from within you. Nobody can give you happiness. Take 10 grams of happiness. How much do you have? Nobody can give you. It's not from outside. It's only coming from within. So the source of happiness must be where? Within. In that instant where you feel like my desire got fulfilled and therefore I'm happy, we find ourselves empty of the knot of desire. We find ourselves open in that one instant. Then you can feel like some happiness is emerging. So the mind will say, okay, let me give you the next thing to get so that again you can feel happiness, and give you the next thing to get, and the next thing to get. And I've seen that this play can go on and on and on. That's why here, at least in the expression, it does not play like many sages have said in the past. I give them what they want, so one day they might want what I want to give them. Because I've seen that this desire is an unlimited tummy. The more you put into it, the more it wants. The more you put into it, the more it wants. Be free of personal identity and the sense of mind. Be happy. You are that in which the universe appears, like waves appearing in the ocean. You are consciousness itself. No need to worry. Okay, we've explained this quite a few times. Have faith, my son, have faith. You are awareness alone, the self, the one. You are the Lord of nature. This is one of the verses that Paul had found for us also. Have faith, my son, have faith. You are awareness alone, the self, the one. You are the Lord of nature. We looked at this a few times. I wonder what we are going to do about these verses in the book. Maybe you'll find some explanation from the past. The body is made of worldly stuff. It comes, it lingers, it goes. The self neither comes nor goes, yet remains. Why mourn the body? The body is made of worldly stuff. It comes, it lingers, it goes. The self neither comes nor goes, yet remains. Why mourn the body? So again, I'm saying that I'm not I'm not asking you to have any sort of aversion to the body, any sort of even disrespect to the body. I'm just saying that notice notice its fundamental reality. It was most likely born in a hospital, and most likely the last moments will be spent in a hospital or at least on a deathbed. So it is going. One day or another, it is going. Just notice that as beautiful as it might be, as amazing the system of the body as it might be, it's leading to the cremation grounds or the cremation pyre one day or the next. So, does it make sense that we invest all our attention, all our time on just tending to this body, which one day it has to go, especially when so many beautiful beings through centuries and forever have pointed us and said there is something beyond this bodily existence. Is that not worthy of some attention? Is that not worthy of some inquiry to see, can I not find that which is beyond this bodily existence? That's why the Katha Upanishad is a beautiful metaphor for this, where the Lord of Death himself comes and tells this young boy that I'll give you whatever you want, riches, pleasures, lifetime of the best life you can have. And the young boy Nachiketa says, but will this make me deathless? Will this make me immortal? Will this be beyond you? And Death said, no, all that is phenomenal, one day or the other has to go. So then the young boy says, okay, then tell me about that which is beyond death. Then the true discourse starts, then the true communion starts. The body is made of worldly stuff. It comes, it lingers, it goes. The self neither comes nor goes, yet remains. Why mourn the body? And if you take away this distinction between waking state and dream state, I can tell you that we have experienced many bodies. I often take this example. Usually, I sleep quite late at night, so sometimes 3 a.m. or something like this. So one day the kids were going to school, and this was 7:30 a.m. So they woke me up, said, "Bye, Pa, we are going." I said, "Bye, bye." They went to school. I went back to sleep. Then a dream came. In that dream, I lived a full lifetime. I'm forgetting more and more the specifics of that dream, but a full lifetime was lived. And I was married to Garima only in that dream also. And I was getting late for an event that she was waiting for me for. Or she was late, I'm forgetting the specifics. But I remember being half an hour late after living an entire lifetime. And when I woke up, it's God's sense of humor, how it was. And I woke up. What time was it in this realm? 8 a.m. In that seeming half an hour, a whole lifetime had been lived. And it wasn't lived in fast speed or something. Every year is going in a few seconds. Not like that. It seemed like a normal lifetime. All of our dreams are like this. We can have these, many of us have these morning dreams. A lot happens in the so-called 10 minutes. So just like the space of the dream is completely malleable, I say, I like to say, you don't run in a dream and come to the edge of the dream and fall off. It's continuous, it keeps going. In the same way, time is also malleable. So that's why this is space-time continuum. Now somehow we are more in acceptance of the space which is unlimited in the dream. Say, this consciousness can project this space. But when it comes to time, it seems a bit crazy or far out. But actually it is not. Even physics now is discovering that this is one continuum of space-time. There are not two objects. Why did I share this story? Because it comes, it lingers, and it goes. So, so, so many bodies that we have experienced, and they've come, they've lingered, and they've gone. Many of us who are not even in satsang, maybe not even spiritual, at least in India, often like to say, okay, must have been something I did good in my last life, or something bad, depending on the situation. We like to say, must have been something bad I did in my last life, or something good, because this reincarnation and karma is part of our basic conditioning that many of our parents also have, and they give it to us. If the body lasts until the end of time or perishes today, is there a gain or loss for you? You who are awareness? If the body lasts until the end of time or perishes today, is there a gain or loss for you? You who are awareness. So this non-phenomenal self, beyond all objects, is untouched by any movement of phenomena. So whether it is this suit or another suit, doesn't really matter. To the self, this body, the next body, the previous body, all these bodies are just phenomenal appearances which are, they come, they linger, and they pass. Let the waves of the universe rise and fall as they will. You have nothing to gain or lose. You are the ocean. He's expanded the definition. Like often I say that this universe is the body of consciousness. So he went from body coming and going to very quickly saying, let the waves of the universe rise and fall. You have nothing to gain or lose. You are the ocean. So like the master sometimes say that if this entire world was to burn or to drown or to collapse, you yourself will remain untouched. So although the sages are always blessing the phenomenal creation and all that appears within it, it is also clear to them that the self remains untouched no matter what the state of the phenomenal appearance might be. Now the mind will paint a fearful picture and say that if I come to this discovery of the self, then I'll have this a negativity towards the world, an aversion towards the world. It is not that. All sages are just blessing this creation. Nobody is saying, may you burn. They're just saying, even if it does burn, I remain untouched. That's why in Sanskrit, one of the verses goes that even if you are cut, you are burned, you remain untouched. Jise shastra kaate na agni jalai. It means that which weapons cannot cut and fire cannot burn, that Shivoham you are. You are the substance of consciousness. The world is you. Who is it that thinks he can accept or reject it? And where does he stand? You are the substance of consciousness. The world is you. Who is it that thinks he can accept or reject it? And where does he stand? That's why I say that this openness, to see that all of this is just a movement of consciousness. This referencelessness, this positionlessness is all about this. Because the clue is that the ego is another word for resistance. What is just is. And now you take any position with it, including a position saying, yes, yes, I accept you, I forgive you. You see, you're making yourself into something limited again. So that acceptance which we are talking about, that openness which we are talking about is this simple allowing. You see, which is not a position that we are taking. It is to see the truth. We are not buying the pretense that there has to be a pose with regard to anything at all. See, we remain empty of position and we are not in resistance to what is. You are the substance of consciousness. The world is you. Who is it that thinks he can accept or reject it? And where does he stand? He's pointing out that our acceptance and rejection also, if it means in that way that dual sort of functioning, also comes from the ego. We can take no position with regard to the world. Let's look at some questions. Dear Father, I'm the one with a cluttered intellect. Please pardon this foolish question. What is the difference between insight and thought? Does not insight also arise as a thought? Please do clarify this confusion. Thank you. It's not a foolish question, my dear. It's a very good one. In fact, many times earlier I used to. Something happened. Chapter 15. Okay. So I used to say that what do we mean by contemplation versus what is the idea of contemplation for most of the world. Now, there's a great sculptor called Rodin. Rodin? How do you? It feels so obvious when you read. Maybe this is the first time I'm taking the name, so I don't know how to pronounce. Rodin, who made this sculpture called the Thinker. You see the sculpture? Thinker. He's gone deep in contemplation. What is he doing? He's thinking. So this contemplation is not. Father, pause. This contemplation is not what we mean by contemplation. I don't want you to take a concept and then think about it. What I mean by contemplation is to look for yourself, what is there, using your inner insight. What do I mean by inner insight? you will see that just like there are these senses which give you these sensory perceptions, this perceptual knowledge, there are also this inner seeing which brings things like memory, imagination, thoughts, pain, pleasure, sensations. These are various. There's a full universe of inner objects, seemingly inner objects, actually no difference between inner and outer. You see? So this insight, when we turn this insight, you see, and look, so what witnesses this? So we divest it from these objects, either outer or inner, and say, okay, what witnesses that? Who am I? That's why Bhagavan said, in the inquiry, when the thought comes, instead of worrying about the content of the thought, ask yourself, who witnesses this thought? Now, our worldly vocabulary is not meant for these kind of contemplation. So we have to borrow it from how it is usually used and give it our own twist. You see? So when we say contemplation, we are looking at this. Just stay with your own inner seeing rather than what picture the mind is painting out of that. So the picture the mind is painting could be both as a thought as well as a visual. Many times when we talk about the unlimited awareness, the mind is saying, okay, unlimited awareness, I'll give you that. Here it is, this big black space of nothingness. You see? And it will fool us like that. And every time we start to refer to ourselves, we are thinking that I am some big black space or something like that. But the question remains, who witnesses that? You see? Who witnesses even this space? And is that black? Is that white? Is it transparent or opaque? Does any quality apply to that? This seeing, this exploration is empty of conceptual content. It is your pure perceiving till you come to the limits of perception itself. And then you find that there is an awareness which is aware even of perception, independent of any concept, independent of any inference. This recognition. Okay, let me put it simpler. We can have a lot of concepts of the Eiffel Tower, for example. You see? The Eiffel Tower is like this, it was built in this after this World War, this happened. You can have a lot of concepts of it. But you have this, when you have the perception of it, you say, yes, I saw the Eiffel Tower. Now, this is the invitation. Can you see yourself? You see? But the trick is, that's why one of the clues is that you will not see it like you see other objects. You will find yourself, but you will not perceive it in that way, objectively. That's why my master says the only non-phenomenal experience that you will have. And just because it is non-phenomenal, the mind will come and try to deny it. But actually the recognition of it is undeniable. You are aware, and the you that is aware is not different or separate from this awareness itself. And this you will speak from your own insight. You see, this is what I mean. I can tell you that you are awareness. So you can have it as an inference, okay, that, okay, I am awareness. So someone says, who are you? I am awareness. But it's just conceptual. Then when you start to see, I ask you, are you aware now? You say, yes. What saw what? Nothing was seen objectively, yet the answer is yes. It is very subtle and yet it is very simple. It's pristine actually. If you can meet me here, then it's so simple, because all I'm saying is, if I say, do you see spectacles? You look for the spectacles, you find something in the shape of a spectacle, you have the phenomenal perception of that, and you say, yes, I see spectacles. But if I ask you, are you aware now? Even if attention goes to some objects, you are not saying, I am computer. You are saying, I am aware of the computer. What is that aware? How is that perceived? See? If you say, I am sitting on a couch, there is a knowledge of both sitting and couch. You see? So don't let the mind trick you that you're saying yes to I am aware only because you saw some content. Okay, let me go very slowly. If you are sitting on a couch, you know both what sitting is and the couch is. It is not just because there is a couch, therefore there must be sitting. So when you say I am aware of existence, you see, then you must be aware of both what aware is and existence is. But just because awareness does not have a quality, it does not have an attribute, it does not have shape or size, it can feel like, but I didn't discover this, I did not recognize this. But you are. It is your most primal, most natural recognition. Because nobody taught you to be aware. You might have learned how to sit or stand, but awareness always has been. And that's what makes it so seemingly ungraspable. Because you feel like, but that can't be it. I've always just been this. Is it that? Like I was sharing a story the other day about Swami Vivekananda. So every time Swami Vivekananda would close his eyes, he would see some light between his eyebrows. And he never shared with anyone. Why? Because he felt, what's the big deal? I felt like everybody would have it. Just like that. You've always been the self. And the discovery seems difficult now because when you recognize it, you see, oh, wow, this has always been here. Where was I searching? It's almost embarrassing. I used to say, at one point, half jokingly, of course, I used to say that an awakening experience is almost like a face palm moment. You know what is a face palm moment? It's like, what? So if you get comfortable with it not being something special and yet at the same time very pristine, then it's very simple. Without expectation, are you aware? What is the color of this awareness? What is aware of your sight, of any sensory functioning, of even this inner perception? What is aware of that? You are, undeniably, isn't it? You are aware of this already, but it will not conform to any idea of what should happen now as you discover this. The idea that something should happen can also be kept aside. It is not a happening, it is what you have always been. And yet, in the play, the recognition of what you have always been can seem like a happening. Somebody sent me a message privately and requested I don't take the name out. So I just want to say that one of the most beautiful things Guruji says is that just because you know it is a dream doesn't give the dream character any advantage in the dream. So we expect that once we come to this recognition, then our family should understand, or they should accept that everything is the will of consciousness, just happening naturally. There is no such rule like that. Everything will play as it is, has to play. We're done with this for today. Is there another question I missed? Any other questions?
I don't have any question, but I actually want to ask you something. Like, I've been identifying with all the thoughts which come, the voice which goes on.
You have been.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not that sometimes sometimes it automatically manifests. Like if I think something, and then there's a thought something, and then maybe that I would have said or I would have done that, something like that. But then I was thinking to ask you this question, and then suddenly I remember last time when you came, forget about what has happened, don't report to me what happened, something like that. So I didn't want to ask, but still it came out.
You're asking without asking.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that sometimes when I identify with the thought, then the action happens in accordance with that.
Yeah, and then also I've seen that now that in my life there's so many new things happening actually, which get registered so strongly that that things keep repeating actually. You know, as you said in the beginning, the mind keeps picking up from everywhere, and then it just repeats everything like cycle, right? That's exactly what is happening here now. And it's not that I'm identified or not identified, but I can see this stream of thoughts going on continuously. And and the best part I wanted to share with you is my mom started talking to me. All of a sudden, she just forgot, or I don't know what, some miracle actually. My cook actually, she kind of we had our office opening, so my mom invited my cook also to come and take the thing, and she said one word: if you don't give it to your daughter, no matter 10,000 women you invite, ladies you invite and give them, it's no point. That's what she said. So first do it to your daughter.
The cook said.
The cook, she kind of, I don't know really how she got, she is actually. And then I don't know what clicked in my mom. That day itself she started talking. And since then, even though we have a little bit of clash, still she stopped talking to me. Before she would stop, right? Previously I had that situation. So 1 week I gave her a ghost to see, okay, is it really true? Because I never made an attempt to talk to her because I was fed up of. And then suddenly the whole thing has changed now, and the atmosphere at home is so beautiful and it's so peaceful. My dad is happy that we both are talking. My daughter is surprised how you both are talking because she never saw me talking with my mom. So she's kind of getting into her now. So this whole scenario changed. This is something different which I'm experiencing, and it's not that I was praying for this to happen. Everything is happening in a different way. But there is something which I'm still feeling I'm not saying that I'm not happy with what is, but something is lacking. I feel I'm not. It's not that I'm feeling that I can't say this is true also because I don't lie. Somehow I'm coming here again. I feel to come here. I feel to attend, but life is super busy now. I don't have time. Yeah, so I don't know.
If you were not an object, would you have a lack?
See, that's where I'm having a. I think because now every time this thing comes up, before I was all alone, so I could go through all these things straight away and see all these things through. But now that I'm living with my family, this is kind of sadhana for me to get over it. And I'm trying and struggling actually to not get identified and not go with the thoughts, and because there's so many strong forces around me to to beat those things. I need extra strength mentally to stand in my place rather than get carried away with.
It can feel like for some time that I need some more spiritual muscles to be able to not identify. Now, anything that appeals to you in your heart, it could be satsang, it could be inquiry, it could be prayer, it could be anything which you feel in your heart gives you the most sense of peace, that you can, in whatever busy your life might be, you can take out 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there and put some attention into that. Then you'll see that you come back to that ease of effortlessness of letting these thoughts come and go. I know when you say life is super busy, then it can feel like it's not so easy now to not identify with the mind. Is it? So that happens especially because you're in a new work environment, you might still be feeling that it can give you something meaningful. So a bit of that is natural. So there might be some attraction to what solution the mind is offering up. But if it is possible for you at all, just find some moments of peace and stillness every day. A few 5 minutes. I'm sure anyone has.
But Father, as I said, the attention is not in one place. It just keeps going. It's so easy to fall into the trap of the objects and the things happening.
That's why you need one anchor. Now that one anchor could be satsang, it could be you decide to do 5 minutes of inquiry every day, something. Because I know that attention is so intimate that it can feel like when attention is going to just worldly objects, it can feel like I get lost in that.
I try to sit in the morning when I go for a walk, I sit in the park and just close my eyes for 10-15 minutes. But it doesn't feel that I have actually sat there and I've done something productive. It just feels, oh, I've been, even though, I'm sitting quiet there, but it's so much of noise inside. It's not calm and,
So first, be empty of that expectation.
Yeah.
Because that itself is a oh, I'm not becoming calm. It's not working. Maybe all this will come. And that causes more trouble. Just sit because you want to spend some time with your presence, irrespective of what the outcome of that is and how the mind quality changes or not. And I can tell you that with this, just this feeling to spend some time with your own presence will bring all the anchoring, everything that you need is there.
Yeah, the pull is there. Definitely the pull is there, because otherwise I would have not sat by myself for some time, that alone time thing. Thing is, the situation is demanding my presence everywhere.
Yeah, sometimes life can be like that, that we don't have time for satsang, we don't have time for too much inquiry, but there's never the case where we don't have a few moments every day. So just whatever space life is making for you, you use this because this is your heart's longing. And then you will see that it is not, time truly never becomes a constraint. Only the mind uses it. See, one moment of inquiry is enough to undo millions of lifetimes of conditioning. So if we don't have benchmarks, if we don't have expectation, and it doesn't have to be inquiry, whatever appeals to you. Like Papaji said, one one remembrance of Ram, just once a day is enough to make your day go well if you do it with full devotion. So it is this seeming world is just a reflection of what your longing is. So some consciousness, the aspect of consciousness that wants to play with this sort of confusion of inner and outer world, it will play with that. But if it is reporting the truth, that what I want is to not get lost in it, to be stay in my freedom, and yet worldly activity can happen, then it will find a way to play that out for itself. It is, consciousness is not a helpless thing stuck. The minute it starts playing as if you're an individual entity stuck in this situation, then it'll play that. So in that moment, in one moment now, you can see that you are not a limited entity. That one moment itself is enough to undo a lot of conditioning.
Because the feeling is always very strong as a limited this body, and I'm doing all the work.
Feeling by itself can never convince you of your limitation. It can become the evidence that the mind uses to convince you that you are a limited entity.
That's very automatic, Father. That's where I'm.
The feeling can come. See, even it seems like it's very strong. It is very large. It's overwhelming, this feeling. You see, but without the input from the mind that this should not be here, I'm getting scared or I'm getting lost, I'm getting overwhelmed. Without that inference, that's what I was saying. If you stay with your insight, you will see that the largest feeling is nothing but a grain of sand for you. If you stay with your insight, even now you can use any feeling, any sensation, and even if you imagine that it was magnified millions of times, you will see that the space within you is unlimited. It is never overwhelmed. It is only the mind which convinces you that you are getting overwhelmed or stuck and you must push it out or something.
And also I see that it's not that I'm totally involved as well in the world. It just, it feels like I am. But then I can see, like, today is a festival and I didn't feel the pull to go and pray, and all those things has gone, has dropped. But it sometimes feels like whether I'm here or there, neither here nor there. At the same time, I still feel I don't even know like how I'm asking these questions now, because I've never had time to even contemplate all these things. But there is definitely in the background all these things going on without my knowledge, without me being very conscious of it actually. But sometimes it would have happened, these thoughts would have come, I'm still not.
Sometimes actually when you're working and there's full enthusiasm, there's full
involvement,
there is no trouble.
There's no trouble. That's why I'm saying I'm totally involved in my work. So I'm not having any problem with that. Like, I'm not repenting or anything like that. I'm having fun. I enjoy that part. But then the thing is, these thoughts, these things when I come home or whatever is happening in that day with my family or anything, sometimes it feels I'm drifting back into the world or something like that. Not being in my true place, but acting from that place where I'm not supposed to, something like that.
So, these few things, I don't feel like there is much trouble actually in what you're saying.
Yeah.
But there's these couple of pointers you remember. Anytime it occurs to you that I have a few minutes of space, just go within, take a deep dive within yourself, and maybe you make a poster or your desktop wallpaper saying that if feeling lost, come to Satsang. So we don't
it happens
forget.
automatically.
But many times it's good to just have a outward reminder also.
But then I see, Father, today I just didn't tell anyone that I'm planning to come here, and then only in the morning or late afternoon I was telling my dad that I'll go, and suddenly he came up with a plan that okay, he has to meet someone, so you decide what you want to do to take care of my daughter. Then I thought, is it on purpose or is it really he wants me not to go or something? But I didn't bother for that. I just said I'm going to sit and I walked out from there.
There comes a point where it can feel like we're not so concerned with our own thoughts now, but the thoughts of those around us still seem to carry a lot of weight.
Exactly. Exactly.
So don't think about others' thoughts also.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you become unconsiderate or compassionless. Compassion is coming, love is coming, all that can be expressed. But many times the mind can play this sort of trick. Okay, if I appear within this aspect, it is not getting much. I'm not making good sales from this. So let me knock on another door and indirectly I'll sell from there. You seen that? So follow your intuition about these things and it will be good for everyone around you. You don't have to mollycoddle their thoughts.
That's where
just
I'm
like you stop mollycoddling your thoughts.
I think that's where I'm getting a little bit pulled in actually from my moms and brothers. And
it can be very seductive in a way because you can feel like, yes, I feel like I'm completely free. But what are my friends going to think about me? What is my family going to think about me? What my co-workers? What will they think? My employees? What will they think? You see, now we're not bothered about our thoughts so much, but we are bothered about some apparent appearances, their apparent thoughts, and we are concerned so much about that.
Because yes, if I drop this, then automatically the other part also will drop. Yeah.
The thoughts about others' thoughts. It's still our thoughts only. It's all about you always. So just this, which can still press the remote, push the button. What is another thinking of me? I've said that many times the biggest problems in relationships are how could you think this about me? How could you even think this? I don't know what my next thought is going to be, but you cannot think it.
Thank you.
Tarun says, Father, this surrenderer is also a lie and unreliable, but still surrender has to happen at your feet. In your statement, you are surrendering the surrenderer. Thank you. You can get them out. It's okay. Come, baby. quite a painful experience for young children. Our parents are forcing us to keep quiet. Something like that. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Krishna. Happy birthday to you. May Guruji bless you. May Guruji bless you. Happy birthday, dear Krishna. Happy birthday to you.
I know, right? Kids don't like satsang so much.
You're being nice and saying why they don't like you.
No, not really, but my daughter is like,
Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Moji Ji ki Jai.
Sadhguru Shri Ananta Ji ki Jai.